Neofeud is a surreal dystopian point-and-click adventure game that you can get from Steam for a modest price. It combines science fiction and 2010 social commentary to create a bizarre but epic adventure that brings us from a pencil-pushing nobody to rewriting the fabric of the entire universe as we know it. But despite all that, it's an obscure game that I'd never heard of before. So stay a while and listen as I tell you about a weird game that I think is worth your time. The game begins with an ominous gathering of the leaders of the known world, financial magnates, monarchs, and pop stars, guarded by a number of secret agents and Terminator-looking machines. We play as Carl Carbon, a disgraced detective turned lowly social worker just trying to get to work in the polluted, overcrowded, and crime-filled city-state of Coastlandia.
Goddamn social justice AI.
We rescue this pink-haired droid lady from being vaporized by an aggressive and speciesist security guard when the droid fails a psychology test to see if she has enough mental activity to legally be given the same rights as a living being. Our well-off boss sends us to a struggling neighborhood to check up on one of the robot families as a sort of science fiction child protective services agent. The world of Neofeud is stunningly bleak. Humanity lives at the top of the social totem pole, with mutants and robots as second-class citizens. Despite this, Carl barely ekes out an existence, unable to afford to repair his cybernetic arm, living in poverty but with a few more rights than some others have. Gangs of machines and mutants deal drugs and fight wars in the shadows, while the privileged class live far above the shantytowns in immaculate floating cities. When we check in with the robot family, we can make them fail their inspection or we can let things slide. Regardless of how we fill out the form, a SWAT team enters the building and takes the baby away, shooting the father in the process. Our boss tells it to cover it all up. Meanwhile, the family's older child is nowhere to be seen, so we head to the rough part of town to try and find them. Neofeud was made by this guy, Christian Miller, under the alias of Silver Spooks Games. The game was developed in Game Adventure Studio, which is an open source software for making point-and-click games. It seems like Christian made all the assets by himself, giving it a very DIY style. Some of these assets are done very well, such as the floating city here. Other assets, not so much. Some scenes are extremely busy, while others show detail starting to decrease as you get farther away from the center. While this art style may turn some off, I think it's unique and it caught my eye while I was browsing Steam. It turns out that the family's older child is Proto J, the leader of a robot organized crime group and possessor of peculiar mind control powers that primarily work on other machines.
You got about 5 cycles to tell me why the flack I should have popped a cap in your face, mail your head in a...
After calling off an enforcer from slaughtering us, Carl and Proto J agree to investigate why our boss wanted to have the kids taken. The same SWAT team raids the gang's den, but were rescued by Princess Sybil, the heiress to the, Clington Bushes, the royal family and CEOs of Coastlandia. Now, despite being a one-percenter, Sybil seeks to bring down her own family in the interest of improving life for the billions of poor and downtrodden across the world. Carl is recruited as royal investigator, and we set off to seek out the Garden of Forking Paths, a device of absolute power sought by the great dynasties of the world. The very few action sequences in this game can be kinda janky, often requiring you to mess around for a bit as you figure out what to do. Once you know what to do, it's a matter of getting the game to agree with you. I failed a lot here trying to switch back and forth between characters during this firefight. Sybil directs us to find this guy, Herzl the Creator, one of the brilliant scientific minds behind the Golem Project, the creation of true robot sentience. We find him dead in his shanty. The enemy got to him first. Sybil's plan B is to directly overthrow her father, King Warren Clington Bush, by assassinating him at the Summit of World Leaders, which sends us to the final act. I'm not covering it too much because it's not the focus of my channel, but this game is definitely political and it's very on the nose. Christian wasn't interested in subtlety, and it shows here. Seems like he's making a statement about it taking not just the common people, but also highly privileged people working together to make the world a better place. Spiritually, I would chunk this game in with the music video for the 2008 Janelle Monáe track Many Moons. Meanwhile, the game is absolutely full to the brim with references to other sci-fi and dystopian works. Ready? We've got Terminator 2, Terry Gilliam. They kind of say thank jobs, like how in Brave New World where they say Year of Our Ford. Soylent Green, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Blade Runner, Neuromancer, War Games, The X-Files, X-Men, The Hunger Games, Philip K. Dick, Darren Aronofsky, The Matrix, The Konami Code, Breaking Bad, and Isaac Asimov, among many others. I also really have to call out the music in this game. It's awesome. Listen to the way this track recalls the theme to Terminator 2 while also using that old dial-up internet sound as a sample. The 40-track OST is up on Bandcamp, and I recommend it even if you don't end up playing the game yourself. In terms of downsides, there's just an air of, this is my first game. Voice acting in the game is very clearly the dev and a few other amateur actors doing their best.
2. And since you're a minority species robot, in the Drug War 2.0, automatic conviction.
Sometimes it feels like they're afraid to speak too loudly.
The smiling and waving, the charity balls, gold leaf cake, and flying limousines is just so tedious and empty.
I know what this is. It's called I live in an apartment or a townhouse and I gotta keep my voice down. Some of the dialogue simply goes on and it can get kind of exhausted because, well, Christian really loves his techno babble and internal history references like MK Ultra 2. On the one hand, it adds to the universe, so I say it's a good thing, but I did find myself burning out on these fairly long dialogue scenes. Coming up on the end now, so get off this ride if you want to play it for yourself. After infiltrating the palace known as the Fulcrum, we find the Garden of Forking Paths, an unending network of cables capable of giving one mastery over reality itself. King Warren manages to capture us and take total control over reality before we do, with a bizarre twist of subterfuge. As it turns out, Proto J is a chosen one of sorts. The greatest invention of Goetzel, he has the ability to tap into the garden himself, giving him the ability to control any machine that he likes. After helping us escape from our cell, we reunite with the princess and vanquish the king's CEO by deleting the backup copies of his consciousness, while Proto J overpowers him during a struggle for control of the garden.
Yo, Queen to King 1. You players gonna make a play? You better check this motherfucking made stat.
Sybil's crowned the new queen and a new quest begins, developing a more equitable world for the masses on Earth. So, there you have it. While it's got some amateur weirdness going on, I thought the game had enough heart to be worth checking out. I love the weird and wacky, surreal, and bizarre indie games that you find on Steam and itch, so if you know a game that I might want to check out on the channel, let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, check out this other video about a weird indie point and click that's also worth your time. Alright, see you next time, folks.